It is time for version 48 of the Pro Tier List. I reach out to the best players in the world to help me rank every brawler in the game from worst to best after the last update. Massive shout out to all of them who helped out. Seriously, it is such a big help, and it's what makes this tier list the most accurate tier list around. That's why you guys subscribe for it. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Anyway, let's move on. We're gonna start with the bottom of the F tier. Good old Ziggy, moving from the S tier down to the very bottom. Oh, okay, now Ziggy had not been released before I made the last tier list, but here's the deal, okay? He was strong. He was great. He was excellent. He was gonna break the game. And then he got nerfed like over and over and over again before he even released. Before, you literally could not avoid his attack damage if you had a normal movement speed. He just auto aim, right? It was ridiculous. Good thing that he got nerfed. Unfortunately, he got nerfed so hard. He's terrible competitively. Clancy's moving from the C tier down into the F tier. Clancy struggles to level up more now than ever before, and the payout just isn't that strong right now. Colt is staying in the F tier. Perfect aim is pretty much mandatory if you want to do really, really well with Colt, but the thing is he gets countered by any brawlers that have mobility to dodge his shots, even if you do have perfect aim. That's a lot of brawlers these days, so the meta's just kind of crushed him. Jesse's moving from the D tier down into the F tier. She's back to having some of the most underwhelming stats in the game. There just isn't really a great use for her right now. Honestly, I'm not even seeing her in Heist in Ranked anymore, which is like weird because people like playing Heist or Jesse in Heist. Dynamite is moving from the D tier down to the F tier. Oh man, Dynamite too. There's just so many mobility brawlers being used right now, which means that pretty much every other thrower is a better option. Well, except for Ziggy. Rosa's moving from the D tier down into the F tier. She actually gets a slight boost thanks to her star power healing, but she's still kind of too squishy for her anywhere but the F tier as a tank. It's kind of weird. Okay, next we have the D tier brawlers. These are also not competitive. They're just like better than the F tier. Chuck is staying in the D tier. He's still only good for Heist, and even then, he actually gets countered pretty hard now. There's just more brawlers that can do more damage to the face quickly, and so if he's not there to help defend, it becomes a base race, and Chuck usually ends up losing, at least at the higher levels. Oh my gosh, Edgar is moving up from F tier to D tier. He still isn't great, but the star power buffs did help a little bit. He's just slightly better than before. 8-Bit is moving from the C tier down into the D tier. He's just moving down to a slow movement speed. There's too many brawlers that have mobility and can kind of skirt around him, and he's just not as problematic as before. Colette's moving from the C tier down into the D tier. As somebody who hates playing Colette and who hates playing against Colette, I see no problems with this. She actually received a small health buff, but her role as a tank counter just is not as important right now. Ems is moving from the C tier down into the D tier. Very similar to Dynamite, the high mobility brawlers that we are seeing makes Ems just less viable. Jackie is moving from the C tier down into the D tier. Ever since Jackie got nerfed last update, countering her is getting easier and easier. Sam is staying in the D tier. He actually got a minor damage and hypercharge buff to help him, but he's still pretty situational and isn't the best. El Primo is in the D tier. He was actually buffed just a little bit, but it has made almost zero difference for him. Wow, Tick is moving from the B tier down into the D tier. He's another thrower that has been very harshly affected by the top brawlers. He just struggles so much with all the mobility and all the assassins, man. And I have no problem with that because Tick is just really annoying. Really annoying. Even when he's not that good, he's still annoying. Like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you, but I'm gonna be annoyed while doing it. Nita is moving from the C tier down to the D tier. Some of the top brawlers can easily take care of Nita's bear, so she can't really create really big problems for her enemies. She usually does the best against like single target damaging brawlers that have slow reload speeds. Grom is moving from the C tier down into the D tier. He's no different than the other throwers we previously mentioned, just is struggling against the mobility brawlers. Poco is also moving from the C tier down to the D tier. His healing buffs have helped, but he's still very far from being one of the best healers. There's just not really a need for Poco right now, and he just doesn't do enough damage. He doesn't even heal very well. Okay, now we have the C tier brawlers. The C tier brawlers are in a weird situation. They're not competitive like the D tier and the F tier brawlers, but they're also not as useful as the B tier brawlers. They're in this situation where like the only time you want to pick them is when it's to counter a very specific brawler or because they're just really good on a specific map. They're very situational. And Surge is staying in the C tier. He had a slight buff to his gadget, but he still usually struggles too much to kind of like to level up, right? You have to be really good with Surge in order to make him work out. Miko is moving from the D tier up into the C tier. Miko's actually only really good for Heist, which is so funny. But this map pool has specifically treated him really well. Frank is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. There are a lot of high DPS brawlers that are being used, so Frank is even more conditional than before because they can just eat through his HP. Bo is moving from the B tier down to the C tier. He's just another brawler that's been hurt by high mobility brawlers because his mines are... I don't want to say they're useless against them. Honestly, I think that I underrate his mines sometimes. But there are some brawlers that literally just dash right through them, and it's not a problem at all. Eve is moving from the B tier down to the C tier. A few of Eve's counters have risen slightly in the meta, so she's not quite as good as she was before. Maisie is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. She actually received a slight health buff, but she's still being pretty power crept on each update. Doug is moved from the B tier down to the C tier. Another brawler I have no problems with getting demoted. It's not that Doug is like that frustrating to play against, but when he's just like reviving over and over and over again, it's just like, just die, dude. This really just comes down to tanks in general not being very effective in this current meta, and Doug kind of following suit there. Lola is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. She actually has pretty decent stats, but she doesn't really excel at any one individual thing, so there's usually a better option to go with than Lola. Buzz is staying in the C tier. He's still only good for countering a few of the same particular brawlers that he does really well at countering, but otherwise you don't really want to play him. Chester is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. There haven't really been any big changes for Chester. He's just really good at countering tanks, but those tanks aren't being used as much right now, and that's why he's being seen less competitively. Daryl is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. He's just another tank that isn't doing as well in this meta. Shelly is staying in the C tier. She actually had a little bit of a stint back an update or two ago when she got a buff to her gadget, but her fame was short-lived and she's just staying down here. She only counters a few good brawlers, and even then there are usually better options. Spike is staying in the C tier. There weren't any changes for Spike. His stats are a little underwhelming. It's just staying there. Man, anybody else remember the days when Spike was just always S tier? I think I say this almost every tier list. He was just so good for so long. It's just weird to think that he's not been so good for so long. Mortis is staying in the C tier. It's just a very, I mean, this is a tale as old as time. Mortis has never really been that great. I mean, there's been a couple of times, but yeah, he's just hit or miss, even though he's a fan favorite. Mandy is staying in the C tier. Mandy's long range can be really nice, but the aggressive meta really hurts her, and there are just better options at the moment. RT is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. His hypercharge is really strong, but it takes a long time to charge, so he's just kind of weak overall now that every brawler has a hypercharge. Oh my gosh, I just realized something. This is the first tier list where every brawler has a hypercharge. How did I not think about this? We have been facing over 2 years of a meta going all over the place based off of hypercharges, and for the first time ever, it's chill, and I love it. Leon is staying in the C tier. He's not changing positions or anything like that. He's still one of the weakest assassins, especially where they keep on releasing new, good, strong assassins. Sprout is staying in the C tier. For a thrower, Sprout is still pretty good, but it still gets easily countered. Meg is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. She receives some nerfs to her mecha HP and her damage, so she's kind of dropping in power a little bit. Mr. P is moving from the B tier down into the C tier. So Mr. P's supercharge rate got nerfed pretty hard, and now it's pretty common to not even charge his hypercharge at all during an entire match, which puts Mr. P at a big disadvantage. And honestly, I'm fine with that because Mr. P's hypercharge was annoying. Pearl is moving from the D tier up into the C tier. Now, Pearl received a buff to her heat charging, and while she's still a below average, it's moved her up a whole tier. She's a little bit better now. Oh, Bonnie is moving from the A tier down to the C tier. I played a lot of Bonnie in the last season, and it became very apparent this season that I needed to stop playing her. She received some harsh nerfs to her supercharge rate, and that has really made it hard for her to compete. But next we have the B tier brawlers. These brawlers are competitive. They usually have a good use case. They're not like great everywhere like the A tier or the S tier brawlers, but you'll see them competitively, and some of them are really good in the right situation. Brock is actually moving from the C tier up into the B tier. This has been a very good map pool for Brock, and he's not doing terribly in this meta because of it. Lou is moving from the A tier down into the B tier. He's another brawler that doesn't actually play too well into high mobility brawlers, and he's not being used as much outside of like Hot Zone. Griff is staying in the B tier. He does continue to be a decent tank counter. There aren't as many tanks being played. He can be used as a wall breaker as well, though there are other options. And as a Griff main, unfortunately, I have to agree with the pros here. B tier makes sense for him. Piper is staying in the B tier. She remains consistent. She is a safe pick on open maps, and otherwise, she's not a great pick. Rico is staying in the B tier. Also not moving, very map dependent. He's good on the maps where he's good at, he's bad on the maps where he's not. Sandy is staying in the B tier. No changes were made to Sandy. He's a pretty map dependent brawler, but where he does well, he can do pretty well. Fang is staying in the B tier. He can still be pretty easily countered, but he's very strong if he's not countered, which is why you want to play him correctly in the draft. Bull is staying in the B tier. Bull feeds his super a lot to enemies, but he's become a tough brawler to counter since his rework, so he's kind of like, there's there's pros and cons to playing him. BB is actually moving from the C tier up into the B tier. She received a buff to her home run bar, and it has made her considerably better. Barry is staying in the B tier. He's not an easy thrower to counter compared to other decent healers or throwers, and the fact that he has that dash is just really fun. Honestly, I love Barry. I wish he was a little bit more competitive, but B tier is good for him. And Barley's actually right next to him in the B tier. Same as before, very map dependent, has a lot of potential to be strong on the right maps and stuff. B is staying in the B tier. She's still a safe, long-range brawler to be used against like tanks and on open maps. Belle is staying in the B tier. Same as B, except a little bit more safe and consistent than B is. Allie is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. Her new hypercharge is really tough to charge, but it's actually insanely strong, so she moved up a tier just from that alone. Kenji is moving from the A tier down into the B tier. We love to see that. Man, Kenji was just so strong, and his hypercharge got nerfed really hard. He's definitely not a top brawler anymore. Still good though, just not as oppressive as he was. Squeak is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. He's still a strong brawler in the right situations, but he struggles against aggressive brawlers. Penny is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. Her turret received a small buff to the rate of fire, and now she's actually playable again, which I like that. I like Penny. Stu is staying in the B tier. He got a small buff to his hypercharge rate as well, but it doesn't seem to have made a huge difference for him, which is why he's staying there. Hank is staying in the B tier. He's still good on maps with lots of walls, but otherwise you don't want to play him. He can be annoying. Yeah, I'll just say it. He can be annoying. Willow's moving from the A tier down into the B tier. Just another thrower that hasn't done very well in this aggressive assassin type meta. Janet's moving from the A tier down into the B tier. Her stats are becoming pretty underwhelming with how the meta has shifted right now. Draco's moving from the A tier down into the B tier. His super got nerfed pretty hard, and now it is much harder for him to chain them back to back. It's still very possible, but a lot harder against other players who know how to play around him. Trunk is moving from, I believe he was a bottom of the F tier, all the way up to the B tier. Trunk was awful when they were first released, but after getting a hypercharge as well as a few buffs, Trunk is a solid brawler despite being a close-ranged tank. Man, that makes me actually want to start trying to play Trunk again, because I pretty much just quit playing Trunk when I realized how bad he was. Time to give him another chance, I guess. Lumi is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. Lumi's projectile speed was nerfed, and it hurt her quite a bit. She's still decent, just not as like versatile as she was. Thank you. Kit is moving from the S tier down into the B tier. Kit received some big nerfs to his hypercharge and his gadget. He is now a lot weaker, a lot less frustrating to play against. Thank goodness. Carl is staying in the B tier. Still a very average brawler, not easy to counter, good in a lot of situations, but not like game-breakingly strong. Charlie is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. Her spiders are actually a little bit easier to deal with now in this current meta, so her overall kit is just a little bit less useful now. I still like using her a lot in heist to counter brawlers that are just super annoying though. Tara is also moving from the A tier down to the B tier. She received a decent nerf to her supercharge rate, which knocked her down a whole tier because Tara is all about her super. Nani is moving from the D tier all the way up into the B tier. She received buffs to her attack damage and her star power damage, and she's back to being a solid long-range brawler. Gale is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. Gale also received a buff to his supercharge rate, and he's pretty reliable as a tank counter now. Oh yes, Ollie's moving from the S tier down to the B tier. Ollie's hypercharge got nerfed pretty hard, and then his damage and gadget received emergency nerfs, so we won't be seeing him nearly as much before. And I am so thankful to Supercell for doing that, because I hated playing against Ollie. But now it is time for us to go over the A tier brawlers. These are competitive ones. These are like the really good ones that you want to watch out for. They're just not quite as oppressive as the S tier brawlers in as many situations. Oh gosh, dang it, Melody's moving from the B tier up into the A tier. Sorry, the reason why I react to this all is because I didn't make this tier list. Literally, the pros gave all of their feedback, and Moxie's my content producer, and he takes all of their feedback. He's a semi-pro, and he puts that into the tier list. So I haven't seen it yet, and I hate playing against Melody, so this is frustrating to me. But she received a slight health buff, and I guess it's improved her survivability a bit, even if I don't want it to. Mo is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. He actually received a slight emergency nerf, but this map pool and the meta shift has actually made up for it, so he's moving up. Oh my gosh, Pam has moved from the F tier all the way up into the A tier. Not only did she get a hypercharge, but her turret health was also buffed, and she now is one of the best support brawlers in the game. Gus is staying in the A tier. He's a little bit less consistent than before, but he's still a great support brawler for other aggressive aggressive brawlers, and where we have a lot of aggressive brawlers in the meta right now, Gus is a solid go-to option for a lot of pros. Lily, dang it, she's staying in the A tier. Still a strong assassin with not many ways to counter her. I will be banning her a lot this ranked season. Jean is staying in the A tier. There were no changes for Jean. Still a game-changing super, very strong overall brawler. Crow is staying in the A tier. Crow is one of the most consistent and safe tank counters in the game right now. And while we're not seeing as many tanks, we are seeing a lot of assassins who don't have the range to deal with Crow. Buster is staying in the A tier. No changes were made to Buster. He's still basically impossible to counter even on any map, and he's one of the only brawlers that's actually a good counter against Mina. Angelo is staying in the A tier. Angelo has a pretty good map pool, and they're one of the strongest snipers in the game right now. I need to start playing Angelo more. Angelo is one of those brawlers where you have to get good with in order to do really well, but man, they're so good. Larry and Laurie are staying in the A tier. Is this the best thrower right now? Ah, no, Juju. We still have Juju. Yeah, the point is that Larry and Laurie received their hypercharge, and it quickly made them one of the safest thrower options in the game. Amber is staying in the A tier. Similar to Buster, Amber is just extremely hard to counter, and she counters many other brawlers. Gray is staying in the A tier. Gray continues to be a really excellent support brawler to support other brawlers, but also Gray just does really well on his own. Byron is moving from the S tier down into the A tier. Still very excellent. Byron is another brawler who received an emergency nerf even after already being nerfed, but the emergency nerfs weren't that bad, so he's still a really great healer. Ash is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. Ash got a health buff and a buff to his chill pill gadget, which I thought was already good. So now he's one of the strongest tanks in the game. Gigi is starting off in the A tier. Gigi has not been released at the time of recording this video. We are guessing she's going to be very strong upon release. However, the pros have actually not had a chance to play her, and so this is actually weighing a lot more on my own and Moxie's experience testing her out for like the GG Olympics video, which we did. You can watch it right here. Jae Young is staying in the A tier. He received a decent nerf to his damage gadget, but his other gadget was actually buffed, which kind of made up for it, so he's still really good. Max is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. She received a buff to her hypercharge rate and her gadget, and some pros even said that she could be S tier right now, so she might be S tier. Just keep her in mind. Ruffs is staying in the A tier. He's been an all-around great brawler ever since his projectile speed was buffed, and he's still very strong. Shade is staying in the A tier. Shade simply has one of the strongest hypercharges in the game, and that is all that he needs to be an A tier brawler right now. Kaze is moving from the S tier down into the A tier. She probably would have stayed in the S tier if she didn't get an emergency nerf after already getting some nerfs, and she may even be worse than this. It's still too early to tell, especially because I'm filming this on the day that the emergency balance change is actually released, so it's a little early to tell, but bottom S tier, top A tier, maybe somewhere in the middle of the A tier makes sense for her. But now we have the best brawlers in the game right now. There's something in my eye. The S tier brawlers are brawlers that are excellent in almost any mode, any combination. They're great with all sorts of brawlers. They're just the best of the best. First up in the S tier, we have Otis, who is moving from the A tier to the S tier. Otis is just a really good all-around brawler, lots of damage, can shut down hypercharges with his super, and is just a really good safe bet overall to play at the moment. Juju is moving from the B tier up into the S tier. Now, the last tier list was before Juju's hypercharge was in the game, and it has made her very, very strong. Just a great, excellent option all the way around. The best thrower in the game. Next, we have Finks staying in the S tier. Finks received some nerfs to his star power and his hypercharge rate, but it really hasn't affected him much, and he's still a great counter against a lot of good brawlers in this current meta. So he's a pretty safe option a lot of places. Next is Cordelius staying in the S tier, our top third best brawler in the game at the moment. Cordelius got some nerfs to his super, but his super is still the best tool in the game for canceling out other hypercharges, which is what makes him so good. Next is Meeple, moving from the C tier all the way up into the S tier, and is currently the second best brawler in the game. Now, Meeple receives their hypercharge, which just broke the game. And it's a little too early to tell because he has been affected by his emergency nerf. He might not be the number 2 best brawler in the game at the moment, but he's so strong, and the nerf was mild enough that I think that this placement's going to hold. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, he is a very solid competitive option, especially because of how easy it is for you to hit his shots and how strong his hypercharge is. But the best brawler in the game right now, voted by the pros, is Mina, and she is staying in the S tier as the best. Mina got nerfed like crazy in the last update, and then she got some emergency nerfs. Like, she's so good. She's had nerf after nerf after nerf, and the pros still think that she is the best brawler in the game because of her high mobility, and that is just, it's like Stu with his super. super, except you don't need a super. You don't have to land your shots. You can still just dash around. Unless that gets nerfed, I don't know. She might be in the S tier for a long time. And again, disclosure, she might not be the absolute best brawler in the game right now, because I am filming this the day of the balance changes. We did consider this, but take it with a grain of salt. She's still really strong either way. And that is every single brawler ranked from worst to best after the last update. Once again, a massive thank you to all of the pros who helped make this video. Seriously, it couldn't happen without them. I learned a long time ago that I'm not a pro and I do not know the meta like they do. And as soon as I stopped sharing my input, other than on newly released brawlers that I've actually played, that's when the tier list got good. So, so you can take comfort in knowing that this is the best tier list because I didn't make it. The pros did. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe for future tier lists. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop.